Hello, I'm Liz Lumley from Finextra, and we're here at Sibos in Boston. And today I'm speaking to Christophe Chazot of HSBC. And you took part in the InnoTribe sessions here at Sibos, which are always popular. And I was really intrigued by the description of the session that you took part on, where it said it created a vibrant cooperation space for the FinTech world. And that seems to be the thing of the moment, creating spaces to push FinTech globally. So I wanted to know, during the session, how did you do that? How did you give room to create this vibrant space?
InnoTribe has managed to create a unique environment where bankers, startups, and sometimes clients can interact and come up with ideas. So they bring startup, and through a challenge, they manage to create a challenge to the ecosystem, and so which fosters innovation, development. As bankers, make us think as well how do we do things and how we can improve things. So it's really a very important very important session and very dynamic.
So I mean, a few years ago, in terms of sort of innovation and startups in the FinTech space, a few years ago the buzzword was disruption. New players are going to come in the market and destroy the old banking infrastructure, and a new utopia will emerge. That has sort of given way to this collaborative, cooperative ecosystem where banks and startups work together. Is collaboration now still just another buzzword, or like what are the benefits of this moving to this new cooperative mindset we're in?
As banks develop their corporate venture capital structures, then suddenly the move is not really on making money, which is traditionally what a VC is about, but it's really to have a strategic alignment and to strategically try to develop the firm using these startups as enablers or as ecosystem developers, or sometimes also as disruptors. So this strategic alignment and this collaboration is very important, and this is what we bring to startups. So if we don't bring this client contact, client experience, if we don't bring our own expertise as well as our geographical reach, HSBC is present in more than 70 countries, then there is not much left apart from the money. So, and this is very important. In fact, what we see through different studies from Harvard especially, is that startups that have among their investors corporate venture capital fund do much better than the others. They do about 3 times better return above the risk-free rate. And conversely, and that's what's interesting, those companies that invest into startup also do much better than their peers that don't invest into startup. So you see there is a natural collaboration and a win-win situation in this mechanism. And it's even better when 2 corporate venture capital invest in a startup. That's even more successful. So you see there is not only collaboration between startups and large companies, but there could also be collaboration between large companies themselves.
So if it's good for the banks to have this relationship with the startups because they're innovative and agile, I mean, are you kind of saying that banks really can't be innovative on their own?
I think it would be misleading to think that banks are not innovative. We are very innovative in a number of areas, but this innovation is very often a matter of experts. So it's only when you are in the field that you realize how much this innovation has made a difference. It is true that banks have not invented the next iPhone, which are things which are highly visible. So we do innovate a lot, but it is very often in the specific business lines. Now, what banks have been late to do and where we have been slow is to adopt fully the digital revolution. And there are reasons for that. The digital revolution for me is about 4 major themes. It's about connected objects, big data, open source, and social networks. If you take open source, for example, that's a good example of things which are fantastic enablers for startup, but which we don't benefit a lot. So we are very careful about open source, but a startup will use code that has been done by somebody else. They are going to take algorithms that have been created by a professor at MIT on an AI, artificial intelligence engine, or something among for big data computation and structured data computation. So there are things where a startup can really leverage on this digital revolution, and banks naturally are going to be slower into the adoption. So this is why the collaboration between the two, and using sometimes startup as also an R&D engine for us is very good.
Excellent. Christophe, thank you very much.